The uniqueness of the Prince of Wales Seeing is Believing program is manyfold, I think. It is in part an opportunity where a relatively small group of very senior business people can go out and roll their sleeves up and really understand and dive into social issues and environmental issues in the communities in which we live and work. To both see a problem, to get perhaps a glimpse of a potential solution, to be teased and nudged into thinking about what role they might play, both as a leader, as a parent, or as a business in addressing these issues, and also to reflect a little bit about why should it matter to them as a business and as a business leader. Where is the value creation opportunity for their own organization by living their values? How can engagement on key social issues like the ones we look at through Seeing is Believing be part of the brand building and development of a business, the recruiting, retaining, and developing the best people, the risk management, and the seizing of business opportunities? How do all of these things come together when looking at a problem? And what has been fascinating looking at the thousands of business leaders who have been through this program over the years is how many arrive unsure of what they're going to see, not quite clear on what relevance it might have to them and to their business, but leaving later that same day full of enthusiasm, feeling quite emotional about what they've seen and what they've experienced, sometimes quite shocked and unsettled by what they've observed, but also with a sense of encouragement that perhaps they have a role to play. And perhaps these problems aren't quite so challenging as they may first appear. And that perhaps by acting collectively, business can, through its extensive people and the talents and skills that they can bring to the party, really make a difference out there. Managing a business is more complex than ever before. The pace of change, the pressures that we're seeing, the evolution of society, the disruptive technologies that are lurking around behind every business model, the decreasingly short tenures that business leaders have, and this quite fundamental breakdown in trust between many businesses and the communities in which they operate. So these are big and important issues that business leaders have to face. I think increasingly business leaders are recognizing that they cannot be divorced from the issues that they face, whether they're trying to get the right skills to come into their business, whether they're trying to create long-term relationships with customers, manage through government regulations. All of these things require a different kind of behavior. And of course, social media and the whole digital age has been quite a game changer in terms of how information is transmitted. A minor infraction in another distant corner of the world will reflect very negatively upon what you're trying to do as a leader and as a business in your home nation. So companies and business leaders are increasingly aware that social issues have a role to play in how they respond to those social issues, not just in seeing opportunities and managing risk, but also thinking about how they engage their people in different ways. So being aware of what is going on out there and thinking a bit about how that awareness impacts on how you manage your business, how you develop your long-term strategy, how you develop your leaders, how you develop the brand loyalty that we're all trying to achieve. All the surveys out there tell us some interesting and quite concerning things. Trust in business is very low, and trust in business leaders is falling even further. So what business leaders have to reflect on is how do they effectively communicate by their behaviors, by their actions, by the cultures they create within their organizations of what they stand for. How do they create a methodology to align their personal values with their business goals? These are difficult things to do, and the larger your organization and the more geographically dispersed you are, the more challenging it is to do that. We think things like a Seeing is Believing visit, a business leader says to his or her constituency, I had an interesting morning. I spent the day at a challenged school and reflected a little bit about what we might do as a business to help that school in our neighborhood. This is why I think it's relevant to our business. This is why I think you will enjoy working with me in helping to see what we might be able to do to provide greater opportunity for the youngsters in that particular school. This is why it's relevant to our value creation model, and people embrace that. PR campaigns will only take you so far. Social media will outstrip anything you say about yourself. And so we've also learned that the most powerful advocates for a business are the employees of that business, both positively and negatively. So how do you provide those people opportunities to really feel like they're part of something that is bigger than themselves, that they're proud of the organizations that they're part of, that they aren't simply about driving bonus cultures, but about driving value to their customers, to their employees, and to the communities in which they operate. We're often asked the question about what's the business case for responsible behavior? And it's a complex and long answer, and I won't give you one. But it starts with the fact that most people want to do the right thing. Most people want to help, but they just quite don't know where to start. The problems can seem too big, too complicated. And so what we talk about with organizations is think about the role that you can play in society, and think about playing that role in a way that reinforces your brand and what you stand for, that encourages and develops the kinds of people that you want in your organization, who feel a sense of community and purpose and duty, both to the business they work for, to their families, and to the communities in which they operate. That gives you a window out there to spot these big megatrends that are happening, to begin to think about maybe risk mitigation on one hand, but also seizing opportunity on another. Business models are vaporizing overnight in this fast-paced world that we're living in. And if you ignore what's happening in the communities around you, you do it at your peril. So we think the business case of responsible behavior, first of all, is common sense, but also quite profound. And we have a number of wonderful examples of businesses, large and small, public and private, who are achieving just that.